Hello and welcome to this video interview, a joint production of Mercury and Business Solutions Magazine. I'm Jim Roddy, the president of Jameson Publishing and Business Solutions Magazine, and we're coming to you from the Money 2020 conference in Las Vegas. This is one in a series of video interviews we're conducting, hoping to give solution providers and channel executives some insight into changes going on in the payment industry and how those impact the channel. And our special expert guest today is David Gosman. He's the CEO of PC America. David, great to talk with you again.
Thanks for having me here.
So David, my first question for you is, you've been here at Money 2020 a couple days now. What technologies, what trends that you're hearing about have really caught your attention that you'd want to share with the channel?
I mean, definitely the topic of conversation you hear most is mobile payment. Everyone's talking about how to pay away from the register, whether that's accepting the payments or also using the various mobile wallet technologies to go ahead and actually, pay with your phone, pay in different creative fashions. In certain cases, it's not payment with your phone. It can be payment with, credentials like PayPal is talking about. Other cases, it's actually taking out your mobile device, logging in, scanning a barcode, something along those lines. So it's really trending around there. And then the conversations around it, like how do we get people to use it? What's the benefit to the consumer? That's really what you're seeing a lot of conversation about.
Can I ask you, do you have answers to those questions? How do you get people to use it? How is that transition going to go from an adoption standpoint?
It's a really good question, and you have a lot of different companies. So you have some companies that are going out there and saying, how can we try to get like thousands of users signed up? You have other companies that are really concentrating not on the end users right away. They're concentrating on the relationships, like the banks, or going for maybe big retailers and getting their network a little bit bigger before they go after consumers. And it's funny because you think the first thing a lot of people think about when introducing a product is users. But I'm glad to see some companies are concentrating more on infrastructure first and relationships before they go to the users, because we're not talking about somebody buying a few thousand things here. We need to have mass adoption if mobile wallets are going to take off by like tens of millions of people. So concentrating on 5,000 users really, my opinion, isn't the right place to start.
How about the keys for adoption with local merchants? You're talking about maybe some of those bigger retailers and the big infrastructure. How about for local merchants? What are going to be some of the keys for that to actually happen?
Yeah, there's going to be a couple of keys for that. I mean, I think the most important thing is really that network that you establish. So you're not going to be able to, go to local merchants and say, install my mobile wallet if nobody else in the area is even trying to pay with it. It's just not practical. So I think for the for the local merchants rather, if they're going to adopt any of this technology, they need to see a lot of users and widespread adoption for them to really be motivated to do it. So the mobile wallet companies that are going after the banks, for example, and trying to get millions of people, they're going to drive consumers saying they want to use this new technology. The local stores will then have a reason to do it. Then the other aspect too is that for local businesses, I think that there's good reason for them to use it if you can have a compelling reason for clients to want to pay with it. So if you attach in loyalty, for example, so if customers can earn extra points by paying with their mobile wallet or get some kind of better experience, those are the types of formulas that I think will be successful.
Yeah, it's got to benefit the consumer. They're not just going to have technology for technology's sake.
Absolutely.
And so the one thing we've also been talking about here at the conference that I've heard, and I want to see if you've heard it as well, this doesn't mean the point of sale is going to disappear. That's still going to be really the central hub of all this. And so everything has to run through the point of sale. Every payment, loyalty, everything has to come off of that. Are you feeling the same way as well?
I'm feeling the same way, absolutely. It's always interesting to see that a lot of the mobile wallet developers don't seem to feel the same way at first. So a lot of them come out of the gate thinking, hey, I have a great mobile wallet, and they give you a demo, and it's beautiful. It's pretty awesome. And it doesn't actually transmit the payment into the point of sale. So, we develop point of sale software. We have no idea payment was made. So in those cases, you're definitely seeing, I think, someone that thinks about a great product and not about the whole entire structure of how to bring it to market. But we also have seen some mobile wallet companies that are interfaced in. They have like direct APIs. We can tie them really easily. And that's key. It's got to be a seamless experience. At the end of the day, almost all those transactions are handled at the point of sale terminal. Traditionally, as it's been done for years, that's not changing overnight. You have different ways to go about it, but it's still kind of the same baseline. And those payments have to be really structured where someone pays and it's really tied in closely with the POS.
So the point of sale is going to change, and so it seems like VARs, software developers have to change as well. What role do you see solution providers playing in helping get these technologies adopted, and what support are they going to supply to merchants in the going forward stages?
It's a really good question, and I think it's a mixed bag depending upon which solutions we're talking about. But I mean, overall, I think we're at an interesting point in time here where the VAR isn't necessarily always the one anymore recommending what technology has to be used. You know, in the past, they would come into a business and they'd say, this is what you need, X, Y, Z. You're having a lot more, you know, consumers out there and merchants that are actually figuring out on their own, driving what needs to be used, and then going to, you know, trying to find a way to source that. So I think the VARs really need to make sure that they're educated on the offering start to finish, and that they understand success stories of how to use it. So, you know, maybe the merchant will come to them and say, I want to use a certain mobile wallet. And, you know, that's a pretty good thing for the merchant to request. The VARs should understand and make themselves valuable by saying, hey, I can not only set it up for you, but I've worked with 20 other locations around here, and this is how they've been successful actually offering that technology. Let me train you not just how to actually, like, you know, set it up and do that for you. Let me train you how to make it successful and effective for your business. That's where the VAR is really going to prove themselves.
Yeah, so it's not just that the VARs before it might have been more turning the screwdriver. This is more cutting through the confusion. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Okay, so there's still going to be that trusted advisor. It's just a little different in that aspect. So my last question, I want to ask, are we at an inflection point in the payments industry? Are we going to see 2014 have some rapid adoption, or do you think that this is going to be a steady trend that we're continuing the march forward?
That's one of the trickiest questions out there. I think if you look back, mobile wallets, people are starting to talk about them in 2010, 2011. Every year was going to be that massive explosion point, and obviously here we are. And Starbucks is the only one that's really massively performed in that direction. But I do think that 2014, in my opinion, is still going to be a heavy year of development. I think what you're going to start to see is that these test cases in certain cities are going to prove certain mobile wallets as being successful. The ones that are really investing heavily in a larger scale pilot. I don't mean a few merchants, I mean like a whole region. I think you're going to start to see some of those really take off and be successful and prove themselves. And those companies will try to springboard to other places in the country. And at the same time, I think you're going to see some individual larger retailer installations that are going to prove how this stuff actually works. So one of the companies that we work with, for example, they just signed the largest restaurant chain in the country. That's huge. I mean, they're going to show that mobile wallets are utilized at this location all around the country. I think at that point, more consumers will see, hey, the technology works, it's safe, my identity really doesn't get stolen by taking out my phone. And you're going to start to see more people accepting the technology, at which case I think 2015 might be the point where you start to see some bigger rollouts for different tier of merchants.
Those are great specifics. We'll keep an eye out for that. Well, that's all the time that we have for this interview. Hopefully our discussion has given you some insight into some of the innovations in the payment industry and how they're going to impact you as a channel executive. Before we go, we want to say thanks again to Dave Gosman for joining us. Always appreciate getting together with you.
Thank you.
And thanks to you so much for watching and listening. For more information, please visit the Mercury website at www.mercurypay.com and the Business Solutions website at www.bsminfo.com. Thanks again for watching. Goodbye, everybody.